Welcome to The Explainer. So, you know that feeling, right? You wake up, you feel like you're just stuck on this endless hamster wheel, running, accumulating stuff, but literally getting nowhere. Well, today's Explainer is kind of like a philosophical cure for exactly that. We're going to be unpacking some really profound insights from philosopher and professor Lucia Elena Galvan. We're looking at why most of us never truly change and how we can actually reclaim our authentic essence.
Okay, let's just dive right in with a question I guarantee you've heard a million times. What do you want to be when you grow up? Seems totally harmless, right? But as we're going to see, society has actually been tricking us with the phrasing of this since we were little kids. See, the massive trap here is that we are constantly confusing our external occupation, our personal projects, the diplomas we chase, the house we want to buy, with our actual internal identity. Think about it. Engineer isn't what you are. It's just an occupation. It's something you do. The real question we should be asking is, what kind of human being are you becoming while you're doing it?
Which brings us to part one, the illusion of doing.
This whole thing is a super dangerous modern illusion. We build our lives entirely around external achievements. We rock up travels, apartments, status symbols. But if we don't cultivate our internal character, our actual values and wisdom, it almost always leads to this deep, depressing emptiness. Lucia Helena actually brings up Oppenheimer here, the creator of the atomic bomb, and even the rapid rise of artificial intelligence today. Our technological capacity to do incredible things is just massive. But without the maturity to be ethical humans, the things we do can become incredibly destructive.
Moving on to part two, your anchor.
To really grasp how fragile a life built only on doing is, I gotta ask you directly, where exactly is your anchor? Imagine a beautiful vase resting on a three-legged table. Let's say those legs are your profession, your friends, and your finances. If life comes along and chops off one of those legs, maybe a layoff or a bad breakup, that vase wobbles violently, right? Cut two legs and it's crashing to the floor. But what if that exact same vase was suspended from a hook in the ceiling, just barely grazing the table? That ceiling hook is your idealism. It's your unshakable purpose. You could lose absolutely everything at the base, but if you're anchored from above, you will always remain standing.
All right, part three, the limits of doing versus being.
It's really crucial to map out the strict boundaries of our reality. I mean, we love to think we can do anything, but our external actions are actually heavily restricted. Physically, I can't just decide today to go out and play soccer like Pele. Mentally, no matter how much I study, I'm never going to have Einstein's brain. There are moral limits, too. I can't steal without destroying my own identity in the process. And emotionally, forgiving a terrible crime and then actively helping the criminal, like the activist Agnes did, that takes a profound level of compassion that frankly very few of us currently have. Wishing is just not enough to break through these rigid limits of doing. But contrast all those external roadblocks with our internal world. In the realm of being, there are absolutely zero limits. You have this absolute, terrifying, and honestly beautiful freedom to choose to become a more virtuous, just, and compassionate person right this very second. There's no genetic cap on honesty. There's no physical ceiling on being a good human.
Let's look at part four, human dignity.
So how does this build into a bigger picture? It's really an elevating, almost Renaissance perspective on human dignity. Picture a vertical ladder. At the very bottom, a stone just exists in pure inertia. A step up, a plant has one focus, seeking and accumulating energy. Higher up, an animal is driven purely by survival and procreation. Now, the absolute tragedy of the modern era is that so many people actively choose to live like inert stones on the couch, or like greedy plants just obsessing over accumulating financial energy. When in reality, we were engineered for the human level, to cultivate values and wisdom. And maybe even for the angelic level, which is defined by completely selfless delivery to others.
This profound freedom is captured so perfectly by a historical quote from Pico della Mirandola. He said, "Only to him is it granted to be whatever he wants to be." Think about it. Animals are born with a fixed script. They're basically exact copies of their parents. But us? We're the ultimate chameleons. We aren't chained down by biology. We are literally the architects and builders of our own character.
Okay, part 5, the practice of transformation. So now that we get the philosophy, let's pivot. Let's look at the practical blueprint for actually changing who we are on a random Tuesday. To ground this in reality, the source brings up this fantastic real-world story. When the author got her driver's license, she asked her dad if he'd defend her if she ever crashed the car. Her father just looked at her and said, "Not me, I will stand on the side of whoever is right." Wow. He put non-negotiable justice high above blind familial loyalty. That is exactly what it means to love the good for what it is, without expecting any reward.
And that brings us to our first real actionable tool, courtesy of the Stoic philosopher Epictetus. He said, "The seeds of greatness need an image to grow." You literally have to use your imagination to construct an ideal role model of absolute integrity in your mind. You gotta ask yourself, how would this imaginary, super wise person react when someone abruptly cuts them off in traffic? What would they say during a totally miserable day at the office? How would they handle a crisis?
Once you figure out exactly how your ideal role model would react, your job is to start acting exactly like them. And here's where it gets wild. Fascinating studies suggest that acting as if you are that patient, honest person every single day will forge a permanent, undeniable habit in just 4 months. 4 months! The raw discipline of just imitating your ideal literally transforms that artificial virtue into your very own skin.
But to keep yourself on track during those months, you need to lock in the super simple but completely life-changing daily routine, the nightly review. Right before you go to sleep, just close your eyes and ask yourself, what did I learn today? Extract at least one solid lesson, because if you truly want to be a better human being, you should absolutely never waste a single day without collecting at least one brick of knowledge to build up your character.
I want to share this relentless, beautiful truth from the poet Christina Rossetti that just perfectly captures this whole journey. She wrote, "Does the road wind uphill all the way? Yes, to the very end." And yeah, the quest to become a better human is an exhausting, steep climb. It's hard work, all day, every single day. But honestly, it's exactly that uphill climb that fills us with meaning and saves us from that abyss of emptiness.
So here's the bottom line. The statue of your identity is just sitting there, waiting for your chisel. Nature's already done its part. The rest is completely up to your free will. So I'll leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on today. Are you ready to stop focusing so desperately on what you will do and finally decide who you will be? Thanks for joining us for this explainer.